But A.J. Brown, I mean, it's worth. We talk about the best receivers in the game. Usually his name doesn't come up, but the last this has become his.
And we also have to think about this. Remember the altercation or interaction between he and Jalen Hurts on the sideline versus Minnesota. Minnesota was playing that drop 8. A.J. Brown couldn't really get going. The next 2 drives, they throw him double moves. And then we've seen that continue throughout the rest of the season, and it's paying off. It's not like they're forcing him the ball or giving him attempts, and they're not seeing it be successful or him be productive.
Look, I think the Eagles aren't the Eagles without this guy. Yeah. And we saw it last year. What was the difference? It wasn't just that the brotherly shove. It was this guy coming to the football team. Made the quarterback $1 billion. This guy is unreal. Boy, if I'm a Titan fan, I kind of wish I had.
This is not hyperbole in any way. This is what, and Donovan McNabb was a better player than Jalen Hurts was when he got T.O., but this is what happened to Donovan McNabb when Terrell Owens was acquired. It's the same sort of jump, the same sort of productivity, and we're seeing A.J. Brown have that sort of effect.
And Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, I mean, those things make a difference. But what Brown also does is he sort of perfectly encapsulates the identity of this Eagles team. And so what does that bring us to as we circle all the way back, big picture, Eagles, Dolphins, Super Bowl kind of preview matchup? What did it teach us?
Physical teams always beat finesse teams any day of the week, Grady. That's what happens. That's what happened in this game. The more physical team won the game.
You know what's more impressive about what Rex is saying is that when I look at the Dolphins, they're not a finesse team to me. The Dolphins do a lot of dress up, right? They do a lot of makeup with the motions and the different things that they get your eyes locked in on. But they're a physical football team. They're a running football team. They're a team that can pound you up front. And the Philadelphia Eagles made them look soft. The Philadelphia Eagles inverted the line of scrimmage the entire day. They didn't move with the motions. They played this game vertically, and because of that, the run game couldn't get going, and Tua Tagovailoa couldn't get comfortable in the pocket. This was masterful by this Philadelphia Eagles front.
I always agree with you, except with that statement right there. I don't see Miami is a physical team. There's 2 reasons why. Number one, they're horrendous at stopping the run. They actually were good yesterday, all right? And they go back to week 1 when they gave up 350 yards to the Chargers.
Right.
Doesn't happen. Okay, the other reason I say that is they rely on you to be on your heels. They don't just pound the ball right down your throat. Okay. And so to me, that's why I think all that motion, that window dressing and all that is the finesse part of it. Look, I love the offense. Don't get me wrong. I love the offense. But when it comes down to it, when the snow flies, physical teams are going to win. And that's what I worry about with this Miami team. Are they going to be able to take their team on the road, go into Kansas City, go into wherever, and win those games? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think when the snow flies and that stuff doesn't work for Mike McDaniel, how does he adjust? You know, some of the emotions that didn't impact the defense, you know, not being able to dictate to Philadelphia defensively and get into like really favorable situations and get some of the free stuff. How does he adjust? Because this is the second time, and that's what I'm most interested to see right now. This is the second time some of those unique formations and/or motions didn't get them what I call like free, cheap, or easy yards for this offense. Hassan Reddick and the way that they tried to manipulate him or dictate to him, he was the best player on the field defensively. Shout out to Sean Desai as well for Philadelphia's defense, their defensive coordinator. It was awesome what he did. In many ways, they copied that Buffalo blueprint. They did. They played for that zone defense. They kept everything top down. They played with those 2 safeties. They never overreacted to the motion. And therefore, Miami was so consistently in 3rd and like 10, 3rd and 11. And that's not their style of offense.
And that's the other thing, too, though. The Miami Dolphins don't run a ton of plays. They just have a ton of window dressing.
100%.
And what happens is they get you in bad matchups, and the Tyreek Hills and the Jalen Waddle, who was banged up last night, the Raheem Mosterts, they win those one-on-one matchups. Last night, they couldn't do that. Right. They never got the Philadelphia Eagles on their heels. And I think it was the physicality of Philadelphia's offense, keeping them off the field, continuing to churn out first downs, that made it difficult on Tua Tagovailoa. We have not seen them. We've seen them trail 2 times, and we haven't seen them excel offensively in those situations.
They only had 8 possessions in the game.
That's a huge story.
That's
a huge deal with Philadelphia. Every time someone plays Philadelphia, in part because they're so efficient on offense and they're so good at that brotherly shove, tush-push situation, you're going to lose out on 2 possessions. I would imagine Miami averaged 10 or 11 a game going into last night, only getting 8. That's why, like, the first drive when they throw the touchdown pass and the flag pulls it back, that's huge because you get 3 instead of 7. The dropped touchdown to Tyreek Hill, that's 3 instead of 7. So, you know, when you take away those 2 possessions, we only get 6 and we only got 6 points.
The 4th down to Cedric Wilson, that takes
100%.
points. That takes points off the board. You can get a field goal. But I think that's where we haven't seen this team a lot this year, which is chasing. What does Mike McDaniel do when he's chasing? Can he be patient enough to kick that field goal? Can he understand ways of creating offense when it isn't just turning out the explosive plays? The 2 games that they were limited in explosive plays, they struggled offensively, and we watched Tua Tagovailoa turn the football over.
Meanwhile, let's make sure we spend at least a moment here giving some brotherly love to the Philadelphia quarterback. We spent a lot of last Monday, rightfully so, critical of his play. He had a bad day against the Jets. He needed to bounce back last night, and he did exactly that.
He absolutely did. The empty, the 2-by-2 protection, some of the playmaking, getting A.J. Brown the football, getting Dallas Goedert the football on a bunch of crossers. But we all felt he was going to bounce back. We all felt like.
But isn't this the answer to the Micah Parsons question? Why doesn't Jalen Hurts receive some of the reaction he feels Dak Prescott receives? It's because we believe this.
Good point.
We believe that since Jalen Hurts has become Jalen Hurts, he's fought through the games of adversities. He's found ways to get back centered and win games for the Philadelphia Eagles. And yesterday, they won this game on his legs and his arm.
As long as I'm here, what does that mean, Dan? What's going to happen now?
He should ask to be traded. His Hall of Fame career is being wasted right now. That's Davante Adams is a Hall of Famer. He's trending towards being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's real talk.
He is being wasted in Las Vegas right now. 3 guys that have had as many touchdowns as him by the age of 30. Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, and Randy Moss. And right now, this is a bad football team. Right now, there's no known future of who's going to be playing quarterback there. And given how great of a talent he is, I don't want to see that player in person wasting away in a place where we don't get to see him in the biggest moments.
And you know what, too? Sometimes bad play is contagious. When you're around a building that doesn't foster the type of atmosphere that you need, when you're on a team that doesn't have the sort of players or the sort of scheme that allows you as a team to be your best, also individuals can be affected. And we watched him last year sort of persevere through some of these things. I think now it's also starting to affect Davante Adams and his play and trying to strain, trying to do certain things, trying to go above and beyond what you should be asked to do. And if I'm with Dan as well, Davante Adams wants to win. He's proven everything he needs to as an individual. The Las Vegas Raiders are not the team for him.
Well, and I look at it this way. I mean, you're not going to trade him unless you get a heck of a compensation package for him.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. And quite honestly, Davante, I mean, Brian Hoyer put a ball in there. You couldn't have handed the ball to him, and he had a big drop. So his focus is not quite there either. But if I'm the Raiders, I'm going to listen. You have to. And isn't it ironic? One of the best receivers in the history of the game, Randy Moss, the only time I ever saw Randy struggle, he was with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And now here you got Davante Adams, who is a Hall of Fame, talent at receiver, and he's struggling also with the same organization. But I will say this, Josh McDaniels is not going to just give this guy away. Are you kidding me? No way. Sure. So you better, if you're going to step up with the right draft.
What I love about that is, when he left the Raiders, he had 23 touchdowns with the New England Patriots the next year.
Yeah, I mean, teams that I would think immediately have to call. Kansas City has to call.
Kansas City, yes.
If I was Buffalo.
They're in the same division. Let's talk about teams they might trade him to. The Raiders are not going to trade him to the Chiefs.
Why? Because they aren't competing with the Chiefs.
No.
Well,
no one is competing with the Chiefs.
The Raiders got to get a quarterback in 2024, okay? So I don't care if you trade him to – you have to get a quarterback in 2024. The only way you are going to do that is to weaponize yourself with picks to try to go up. So if I was Kansas City, I would call. If I was Buffalo, even though I love Gabe Davis and I think he's a really good player, I would call. If I was the not Atlanta.
Anyone in the NFC. So you want to send him to the NFC.
If I was the Detroit Lions, I'd absolutely call. I think those would be my 3 teams.
I mean, look, Randy Moss, Davante Adams is a player. You're making me think of that situation who would completely shift the balance of power if he does get traded somewhere. The Raiders are 3-4, though. Hard to imagine them giving up on their season at this point. The first person who ever gave Tyrod Taylor a chance to be a starting quarterback in the NFL is sitting at our desk. So I will ask you the question. Does this offense look better with Taylor than it does with Daniel Jones?
Well, it sure does. I mean, it looks better. And the big reason is Greeny, Tyrod protects the football. He protects the team by protecting the football. The other thing he does, he's outstanding at throwing the ball outside the numbers when you get certain coverages, especially cover 1 and things. So to me, yes, I understand it. I'm not saying he's a better talent than Danny Dimes. I'm not. I think that guy's special. But Tyrod Taylor, to me, is an outstanding backup quarterback, but I made him my starter for a reason.
Right.
And the reason is protect the football, and he's definitely a good quarterback.
Well, so then I'm looking at the question on the screen. Are they better off with him? Daniel Jones will come back from injury at some point. Would you consider continuing to play Taylor when that happens?
I absolutely would consider playing Tyrod, and the main reason right now is the health of the other guy. I'm going to make sure Daniel Jones is 100% healthy before I put him back in there. And you know what? I think this could be good for Daniel Jones. Learn what is Tyrod doing that you're not. He's protecting the football, and he's getting the ball out of his hand.
All right.
Daniel Jones, my biggest criticism, 2 of them, not protecting the football and holding the ball too long.
Okay, so 1, they're going to play Daniel Jones.
100%.
I think we all know they will. The question is if they should.
They've been better with Tyrod Taylor. 1, they've been more explosive on offense than they were with Daniel Jones. 2, they have way less negative plays. And 3, he hasn't given the ball away. I think the most difference, or the biggest difference for me is, or like the hidden yardage that Tyrod covers up for. Tyrod is so much more willing to run for 1 yard instead of holding onto the football or throw the football away. And the reason why that matters throughout the course of a game, you guys notice, is like when you throw the ball away on 2nd down and it's now 3rd and 3 instead of 3rd and 13 because you don't take a sack, you might still punt, but that 10 or 12 yard difference, the other team gets the ball field position. And like when you're trying to find a way to score points and win a football game and you're up 14-7 instead of being up 14-13, it has a massive difference. And so that's the biggest difference with Tyrod and Daniel right now, is that Tyrod is so much more willing to make the right play rather than just to make a good play in relation to Daniel.
You know, I believe that is true as well. But when you look at this team, it's about finding positive momentum. When you think about the New York Giants before Tyrod Taylor became the quarterback, it was such negativity surrounding this offense. Now you look at Saquon Barkley being healthy, the play he makes on the option route to get the touchdown, Darren Waller scoring his first touchdown. This offense just seems to be moving more on pace with Tyrod Taylor than it does with Daniel Jones. And you're absolutely right. They're going to play Daniel Jones when he comes back. And we always say maybe watching someone else helps. Brian Daboll should also take a page out of the book of the playbook with Tyrod Taylor and do some of those things with Daniel Jones.
Obviously, having Barkley back makes an enormous difference.
Sure does.